we are live. Hi, guys. Welcome and welcome back to this channel. And on this wellness series, today is a special day for us as women because we want to talk about something that actually affects us as women. And in line with this year's theme for International Women's Day celebrations, that is basically give to gain, Grace and I have decided to give back to the society, and we are going to talk about something that actually affects women or actually stresses women a lot when it comes to their health: metabolism. I have come, as a dietitian, I have come across a lot of women asking me, Mumina, how am I going to speeden up? How am I going to accelerate? How am I going to make my metabolism work for me? Because anytime they have issues, let's say someone is struggling with low libido, they're struggling with low energy levels, they're struggling with uh, unavoidable weight gain, and then they get into researching, they get that the issue might be metabolism. So in this discussion today, we're going to highlight why it's necessary, and I have an amazing expert. Last week she was to come, but she got busy, and because we want to make sure that we are giving to the society, we are still going to talk about vaginal dryness and sexual reproductive health in women. But today, let's talk about the baseline of it all, that is basically metabolism. And we have Grace with us. Grace, kindly introduce yourself, introduce the topic, and let's start. Before we start, sorry.
So thank you so much, Lilian Mumina, for this opportunity. And for all our viewers, today we are going to be talking about women's metabolism. My name is Grace Misera, as she has mentioned. I'm also a nutritionist and have a big passion for women health, and just helping us to become the best versions of ourselves, being someone that is energetic, healthy, and women of value through health and nutrition. So, being the week of Women's Day on 8th, we will we cannot avoid the aspect of health and nutrition in regard to women. Yeah, because that is what shapes us a lot of the time. Yeah, health is very important. So today we are going to look into metabolism. Metabolism is a very big topic, but we are going to put it in a way that everyone can understand and give actionable things that can be done to make sure that we are on the right track. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Grace. Thank you, Grace, for that. And as guys, as you've heard, this is a very reliable conversation. Like, you can take the inputs or the insights that you're going to discuss from this live to the bank, because we are both professional, we are both women, and we are both very passionate about women health. So if you have any issues when it comes to energy levels, when it comes to weight, or you have questions and concerns about your metabolism as a woman, this is the right place for you. So if you have questions, make sure that you leave them in the comment sections. We will be addressing them as we go. So as Grace has said, this is a very important topic, especially being Women's Day or International Women's Days week. Today the 6th, and then we are going to celebrate on 8th. And before we get ourselves those flowers, before we get ourselves those chocolates, let's try and understand what is happening in our body. So Grace, I know for a fact that you know that metabolism is quite misunderstood in the aspect of daily life. So kindly, if you can you give us a snapshot, or like you paint a picture of why we have been ignoring it, or before we start, or we can even start with the definition of metabolism, then we'll get into why it's misunderstood and what should actually happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, metabolism, I think it sounds like a very hard word to understand, And of course, I understand not everybody is in the health or nutrition field that understands it, but I know you have had it as a health enthusiast, or as women. Definitely, I think you have ever been told something to do with metabolism. And the reason why we don't really understand it is because we do not, many issues that we face as women that are related to nutrition and health, we really do not point it to our metabolism. And let me just explain what metabolism in layman's language means. It is just how our body processes the food that we eat and converts it into nutrients, and that those nutrients or energy, like, see, we have a bowl of food here, then we like ingest it, we eat it, how it's going to be digested, how it's going to be assimilated, and like how it gets into our body cells, and how that food is converted into energy, and that energy has so many functions, like metabolism controls our living, like it controls our breathing, it controls our energy levels, it controls our hormones, and so many parts, our reproductive functions, like it controls blood circulation and all that. So like it's usually at the backbone, at the root cause of most of the issues that we face as women. So right from you cooking that food and eating it, that's where metabolism starts, because you break it down, it goes to the stomach, it gets into the intestines, it gets absorbed into the circulation, it gets into our cells, and then from there, what it does, like how it supports our health. That is basically what metabolism is. And even our body temperatures is controlled by metabolism, our thyroid health, so many functionalities of the body. You will find that metabolism is at the backbone of everything, because it is how we convert or channel food calories into energy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Grace. I actually agree with you. So, in other layman's language, it's basically the conversion of food into energy, what you're actually eating, how your body processes it to release
Yeah.
energy so that you can be active physically. You can have,
Yeah.
like, you can run about normal activities. But
Even
again,
our
still,
immunity, they all depend
immunity,
on
yeah,
metabolism.
even
Mm-hmm.
libido, by the sexual desires and all that. So, if you find
Mm.
yourself that you're really lacking productivity, you're struggling with fatigue, you're struggling with you're just moody, your hormones, you're having all these like irregular periods, moody and all that, then all those can be a sign of poor metabolic function. So I
Mm.
don't know if you're going to get into the signs of poor metabolic function, or we can ask them to tell us in the comment section. But again, it's the exact opposite of what a good
Yeah, things
metabolism
like
does.
we experience bloating, that is like a very common sign. We
Mhm.
experience maybe difficulty in sleeping. Unasikia someone saying like, maybe squeezy, I'm not able to sleep well. Evil too from nowhere. Stress. You're always feeling like stress. Yani, when we have stress in our life, but kuna ile it gets over you. Yani, you are not able to be free in your mind, and and the feeling of lack of energy. You know, you're always fatigued. Even if you eat, after some time, you feel fatigue. Those are sign of poor metabolism. Or yeah, those are like some of the signs zenye unaweza ona, but others maybe you will realize them later. Maybe your hair is like coming out the way it is not supposed to be. Unapata, that is poor metabolism. You are trying all things to reduce weight, it's not going, that is poor metabolism. Yeah.
And also, you see, metabolic conditions like PCOS, currently they are on the rise in the country in women. And we have
Yeah.
also issues with diabetes, blood sugar regulations, blood pressure
Mm.
issues, like all these issues that Chris has talked about. All these are some of the signs that your metabolic pathways are not functioning well. That is what we call metabolism. So it is very important for us to have this conversation as women, because we understand that proper nutrition and active interventions, not just one-time nutrition interventions, actually help stabilize and
Mm.
normalize the metabolic functions, and this actually improves our metabolic health. So maybe before we get to that, maybe we can highlight just a few reasons as to why, as women, we must be keen, or we must really want to understand what is happening to our metabolism, because you want to, for most people, even if you tell them it's for their health, they will still need a reason to get justified. If you're struggling with this, why do you need to make sure that your metabolic is maintained, your metabolic health is maintained active and healthy? Grace?
Yeah, sorry, you are hanging up a bit, but I've heard that the reasons why we need to up our metabolism, the blanket of it all is we want to improve our quality of life. You want to ensure that you have healthy weight management, healthy weight, when you are on the other higher side of weight, that is like overweight and obese, the repercussions. Most of the conditions, including cancers nowadays, they come as a result of being like overweight and obese, and so like it helps us to like boost our overall quality of health, of life, if we have a well-functioning metabolism. Also, issues of hormones, you'll understand that these things are interrelated. Hormones are needed to boost our metabolism, and also when our metabolism is okay, we are able to like balance our hormones. So unaona, like they are interconnected. So that's why we cannot be talking about healthy hormones for women without talking metabolism being at the root cause of it all. So these things are like they go hand in hand. Our good metabolism, healthy hormones. Healthy hormones will keep your metabolism on the right, like the way it's supposed to be. So it's very important that we boost our like we have an active, like most people know metabolism as being active, because when you are active, your body is able to like digest the food that you eat, and when you are able to digest the food that you eat, you support your liver. You're not overburdening your liver. You are not having toxins in your circulation, and you know what toxins can have an impact on our health. So it helps the whole cycle of health to work and to function okay. So we avoid these issues of metabolic conditions, like she has mentioned, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis. These are some of the conditions that are where you find metabolism is at the core cause of these conditions. So you don't just look at taking medications to like reduce it, to heal your PCOS. It's not all just about taking med. It's not like headache. It's not like malaria where you take a medication to like kill that parasite or something like that. It is something that you need to work backward. And then once you understand the root cause, you are able to like manage it, and overall improving our quality of health, of life. Yeah.
I like the fact that, Grace, you have brought the aspect that there's no one thing that you'll actually take, and it will actually now just streamline your metabolism on the go.
Mm-mm.
For us
Mm.
to actually get deeper at meaning of that, we also need to maybe understand that the metabolic process is basically in broad. Of course, it's very broad, like from the liver function, digestion, the excretion, all those are actually metabolic parts.
Interlinked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, when you think about now, just in like in a layman's language, for you to actually understand it, you can think about broadly metabolism in two categories. You can talk about catabolism, or what we actually now talking about breaking down. Maybe you can talk about breaking down food, breaking down fat, breaking down protein for energy, and all that. And then we come in with anabolism, now where you're now using the energy that you have released from the breakdown of the foods, the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, the
To
muscles,
make
and
up.
all that, to help
Mm.
actually now help you repair and maintain tissues in your body to maintain
Mm.
good health, good energy levels, and all that. So shida hutokea when there is a lack of balance between the two processes, between the two blood processes. As I have said, there's a lot that happens in the metabolic pathways. But generally, when the two processes are not in sync, then kunaanza kuwa na issues za hormonal imbalance, unaanza kuwa na excess fat storage, unaanza kuwa na issues with actually losing weight or even controlling your blood sugars. So as women, we must be very intentional about taking care of our body so that we can take care of our metabolic health. Maybe now we can, I don't know, we can just highlight about the changes that happen to metabolism. Because you see, because we have talked about the two major changes, and those are the ones that actually maintain or actually that explain aging. And you know for a fact that apart from hormones, of course, with hormones, because the hormonal profile and hormonal issues are part of the metabolism, they actually affect our different stages of life. So maybe you can take us through the different stages of life, how women are actually affected metabolically in those stages, and maybe before we get to what we can actually do to ensure that we sail through life easily, because we don't want to die young, we want to live as long as we can, but make sure that you're metabolically as healthy as we can. So,
Mm.
yeah, maybe you can take us through maybe from puberty, adolescent, because that is where now the differentiation comes in from girl child to boy child.
Yeah. So you find that like in puberty or teenagehood, that's when we have like our metabolism now starts to rise, and that's where you can see that their energy levels are usually on the high. You find that their hair is glowing, their skin is glowing, they have a good shape, to say the least. They are active in so many things. So like this metabolism is usually at peak during those ages, like puberty to young adulthood, and it goes going down as we age all the way to menopause. That's why you find most of the issues that are related to metabolism, they are for women at from that 5 years and beyond, but not to say that you cannot have an issue with metabolic related issues when you are younger. It can happen, but like where the majority are, you find that metabolic rate usually goes downward from midlife, like from that 5 all the way to 40s, 50s, when women are getting into menopause. But during like puberty and teenagehood, you find that most people do not have any symptoms. That is because their metabolism is working okay, their thyroid is okay. Because I've said like metabolism will now affect our hormones, and as well our hormones will also on the other hand affect our metabolism. So as we go through life, of course we find that there's shifts that happen, and that can be attributed to not just aging, but also being exposed to so many things, like when we are getting older, maybe you get married, you start using family planning and all those things that you are adding to your body. It now start affecting not only our hormone health, but also our metabolism. So, and also like maybe the longer we are staying in this world, of course, being exposed to a lot of environmental toxins and all these things, they could be affecting our metabolism on the long run, because they affect our hormone health, and consequentially they affect our metabolic health, and also the foods that we eat in the course of our lives. They could be suppressing our metabolic rate, or they could be improving our metabolic rate. But most of the things that are sold to us or are being advertised, they are mostly anti-metabolic instead of being pro-metabolic. So you find that way we have issues with metabolism, consequentially issues with the hormone health. I hope you're understanding. So like we usually start off on a good slate, most of the people, but with time, with progress, with exposures to chemicals, with exposures to family planning, so many medications, plastics, dirt, and waste, you find that metabolism goes down. And not just that exposure, even people tend not to like move their body the way they are supposed to be, because maybe you are getting into career, so at that time you are not moving your body the way, maybe you have no time for like working out. Also, even if you do, you are always stressed most of the time because of life issues. You're having children, so many stress. Maybe you have to pay rents and bills here and there. So you find these are things that eventually they contribute to worsening of our metabolism. Come those ages, like when you're in your 40s, you find like there's a buildup of so many things, toxins in our body, and all those are anti-metabolic instead of being pro-metabolic. So, and maybe we will now discuss what you can do to like live a pro-metabolic lifestyle, or a lifestyle that helps you to boost your metabolism, because metabolism controls everything. You have said even breathing, even your immunity. We have said so many functions of metabolism, how your brain is sharp, how your liver functions, so many things. So when you are not living a life that is boosting that, you find yourself having now issues or many conditions that sometimes you cannot point it to your metabolism, but you will find out that that is mostly one of the root causes to some of these issues as women we go through. Yeah.
Kabisa, I agree with you. I agree with you, and the fact that for most of us in the different phases of life, we definitely have different things that actually influence our metabolic health. And unfortunately, it's very sad that we are getting women younger or even teenagers having metabolic issues. I have come across a lot, but of course, there's a lot, as you have said, there's a lot that actually predisposes us to developing all those issues. So maybe we can talk about, before we get into the now how to overcome those challenges of metabolic, we can talk about the metabolic shifts. Like when I am, let's say I'm 13, from 13 to 17, as you have said, my metabolic is seemed at to be as perfect as it can be. But that is not happening because we have changed a lot when it comes to our food. We have changed a lot when it
Mm.
comes to our habits. Our teenagers or our girls are not playing as much. And then we are also exposing them to a lot of phytoestrogens and all that. So this actually now clamps on their metabolic. And we know that for a fact, there's that relationship, direct relationship between hormonal health and metabolic function. So there may be the adjustments as they come from puberty to their menses, to their pregnancy, when you're getting pregnant, when you're postpartum, and then to the menopause, which most of us are actually now concentrated on, because that is where now you start experiencing the fatigue, the brain fog, the lack of concentration, the stress, the poor moods, the hotness, the flashiness, all that. So maybe we can talk about the changes in the cycle as we age, if you don't mind. Then we can get into the discussion about how to overcome the issues.
Mm, I think I've already explained that one, because nowadays, like what I was
Mm-hmm.
explaining is usually like maybe a perfect scenario or environment where, like,
Mm-hmm.
when you are getting into early adulthood or teenagehood, you find
Mm-hmm.
that our body is well equipped. Like that is when you find like you are at your best. Your energy levels were at your best when you are a teenager, and maybe below 20. You had the glowing skin and something, like when you are between, like from teenagehood all the way, maybe you can say up to 25. And then after that, maybe then you experience some shifts. But now it is not always the case for everybody, because nowadays what we are seeing is different. Yeah. The foods that people are liking and our taste buds are more geared towards are foods that are highly processed, food that are sweet, food that are savory, food that are quick to make, unlike the traditional ancient foods that people used to take. So you find that our intake of all these things, they now affect us. You find there's a crop of young ladies having polycystic ovarian syndrome, they're having ovarian cysts, they're having endo. As much as we might say some of these conditions are genetic, or they have some family history of the sort, but there must be a lifestyle that could have made those conditions now like they meet, and then you get now these conditions, because you could be having a family history, but your lifestyle is okay and you don't actually get these lifestyle conditions. Even diabetes, you're having very young people getting diabetes. We're having very young people getting hypertension, blood pressure. But Kitambo, because of how they used to live, their environment was much cleaner, their foods were much nutritious compared to nowadays. So you find that some of these conditions, they were coming later in life. But nowadays, you find that these metabolically related conditions, they are coming even for, like, you get younger women getting these conditions because of the kind of lifestyle that we are living. And if you're not conscious about it, especially for teenagers, you find that they're usually like stubborn. They want to be trendy. You want to take noodles every day, every day. And that noodle is not healthy. It is very, very processed. To add on to that, it usually comes with like those flavors that people add. Those ones are like zinaharibu everything now, because they are like flavor enhancers that have so many ingredients that are not healthy. So isn't this of it to sasa too much consumption of it, not just noodles, kuna so many things, sodas, coffee, even, some people are like taking coffee every day is trendy. People are following the trends. They want to look like the West. You want to wake up, the first thing is coffee, hivyo tu peke yake, and a very concentrated one. And all these things are affecting our metabolism. So it all has to do with your lifestyle at whatever stage you are, whether you are in teenagehood, whether you are in pregnancy, whether you are in menopause, whether you are postpartum, whatever stage you are in life as a lady, as long as there's issues with your lifestyle, definitely it will affect your health, and more so it will affect your metabolism, because I've said, like, at the backbone of our health, metabolism is what is usually like controlling how we live our lives health wise. Even our weight is controlled by our metabolic rate, our how healthy our metabolism is. So I hope I've been able to enlighten that, despite whichever stage you are, whether you are a teenager, whether you have just given birth, like, it's your lifestyle that matters, whether your metabolic health is okay or it is anti-metabolic. Yeah. You
Yeah,
can
that
still
is
be
okay.
menopause and your metabolism is okay. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like if you are at ukomze uko, you have a poor metabolism, or your systems are working slowly. No, you can get very healthy women even at 50 and beyond.
Yeah, and that is why I think these conversations are necessary, because like currently, right now, the woman after 35, now we start getting woke about our health. We still want to make things right. We want to correct all the wrongs that we did earlier. But we are forgetting that when you mesema your exposure to toxicity, food habits and such. My
Yeah.
daughter, who is 5 years old, she's been influenced by her peers whose kazi yao, unajua hii trend ya Kenya, wa Kenya kupikia watoto noodles for lunch.
Yes.
It is happening a lot. So mimi anakuja ananiuliza, mami, kwani why don't we eat noodles? I'm like, I always give her the excuse, noodles are expensive, we cannot eat them every other day. So you see, one day she will learn that I'm lying, or I tell her the noodles are not. I tell her plastic. I'm really trying. Sometimes I tell her it's as it is. I tell her it's a bad food. You can't just want to eat like so and so. It's terrible. And I try and give her some reasons as to why. I know that people will say it's harsh, but it's not harsh. She has to understand. So you can imagine the exposures that these children are getting from as young as 6 months. Grace kudangani, hata 1 year watu wanapewa noodles. Watu wanajua na highly refined. One year mtoto anakula vitu zingine hata hazimake sense. I usually
Yeah.
tell some mothers when I'm interacting with them, afadhali tupe mtoto ugali na mala daily than kumpea vitu zingine zenye hazimake sense. Mtoto anakula mkate, anakula chipo, because as a mom you're thinking this is the best for me because I did not have them growing up. My child has to have them. So the peer influence, the and how it's going to shape the metabolic of these girls is going to be really serious, because unapata mtoto wako 10 years, at 10 years, like 9 years, akona hips, akona boobs, because we have exposed their hormones to a lot of issues. So I think as women, as in as much as, yes, most of us think about our health after 35, that's when you start thinking, oh my God, I'm aging, because now you see those two wrinkles coming. You're like, no, I need to stop this. You start feeling sluggish. You're like, I need to do something. Now you start now wanting to perform miracles. That is where people are actually capitalizing and actually not scamming, but actually now working with quick fixes that do not work for women, because we get
Yeah.
desperate for the things that we have been putting our body through. So maybe Grace, now you can take us through some of the things that we can do to ensure that in whatever stages that we have, because you have had Grace that say that we have women who are 50 or even 60 and they are metabolically healthy, despite the fact that
Mm.
still in their menopause or even whatever stages they are, even 70. Like, you can be very active, you can have a good metabolic life, and that is still okay. So Grace, kindly take us through that.
Yeah. So most of the intervention, it needs to be something that is sustainable. It needs to be a lifestyle, you cannot say now I'm going to do something for my metabolism, then I'm giving myself 6 months. You don't give yourself 6 months, you give yourself your whole life. Like, it needs to be something that you can be doing every day. And some of these shifts can really have an impact, not only just to your metabolism, like generally utakuta most of the issues you're going to solve them. Some things are unavoidable, like environmental toxins and all those, but now being well informed, it can help you to like have a choice, because in this life you always have a choice. We always have a choice. There's always a better choice. There's always a healthier choice. you know we are all chasing the bag, and you want to be like busy, you want to go out there and do the most so that you can get that money, which is a good thing. Definitely, we want the money, but you need to know what is your boundaries to that, because you can be so much stressed looking for that money. Ukizipata tu hivyo, now you start now having issues with like health issues, and now that money gets back to your health, and that is what we want. So you have to lay in the foundations for your metabolism. Definitely, number one is movement. Yeah, when we know, like, something that will like boost our body to digest that food efficiently, and that food gets into the right body cells and nourishes our organs. It will only happen when we move our body daily. We have to ensure that we have body movements. You can choose whether it is walking daily, or and also incorporating strength, because huwezi survive tu na walking on its own. You, at one point, you need to like integrate strength training, that is lifting those, machuma za gym or whatever, at least to strengthen our muscles. And our muscles is where like when you work up your muscles, you are able to burn fat, and in that way you are boosting your metabolic rate. And when you boost your metabolic rate, definitely utakuwa na high energy levels, and then you will not have these issues of sluggish metabolism, like fatigue, weight, and all that. So movement is number one. You need to incorporate a form of movement. I have goal for it. It's okay, you can have goals for it, like you're walking this number of steps. You can start with 3,000 to 5,000. That is usually like the minimum, but now you work it up to even 10,000. You have seen people at their 50s every day are walking 10,000 steps. Na hiyo si kidogo. Well, I've done it, and that means you are walking 5 kilometers daily, like at the end of the days, or 10,000 zikikuwa traced can make like 5 kilometers on a day. That is on the minimum. So movement have to be incorporated. So that is number one. Number two is now your diet, because we are talking about metabolism. We cannot avoid to talk about diet. You need to eat right for your metabolism. Most people think they need to do harsh things to boost their metabolism, like prolonged days of fasting. Of course, there's usually that debate of fasting or not fasting. You can, if you have a very sluggish metabolism, you can try it, but make sure you do not have you do not have PCOS or endo. But if you're like healthy, you can try the intermittent fasting. That is like you're training your body to like stay a period of time without food, and then you are eating your food intermittently, and that has been shown to like boost metabolism and reverse most of these issues like fatigue and all that. So you need to know, mostly it's not even the time that you are eating, it is what you are eating. It needs to be balanced at all times. It needs to have carbohydrates with protein and with fat, because most of the things that we are seeing nowadays, you'll find that they have a lot of carbohydrates in their diet compared to the levels of protein, fats, and other vitamins. So you always need to be conscious of how balanced is my plate, because it is very easy to find carbohydrate sources easy and cheaply. Like unakuta mtu akona viazi mingi compared to the meat, compared to the source of fat. And that is how we have mostly, even in these African communities, we have grown eating a lot of huge loads of carbohydrates compared to other nutrients like protein and fats. But now you need to be conscious that you always have to make sure that your plate incorporates that carbohydrate, it incorporates that protein, and incorporates that healthy fat. Say you are eating rice, you can have a protein either from plant sources like the beans, jahe, chickpeas, or you can have the chicken. So what matters now is where you have sourced your most of these things. The issues is where you are sourcing it. Maybe they have been contaminated by antibiotics and those things that people put nowadays to chicken. Unakuta chicken imewekwa so many things so that it becomes healthy. So, but if you can get yourself a pasture raised chicken ama beef that you are sure it is of good quality, definitely you need to incorporate all these things. Things like avocados, they are good sources of fat. Things like nuts and seeds, they are good sources of fat. So these are the things that we need to start incorporating in our meals. Going for, even if you are having carbohydrates, going for the carbohydrates that are complex. That, for example, the ndoma, the ngwashe, whole meal as much as possible, instead of going for that noodle that has been highly processed, or going for that, what else? That cereals, there are these cereals that people take for breakfast. Ukiangalia the ingredients, they do not have much of the natural product in it. But if you prepare yourself a breakfast that is healthy, definitely it's going to work for you. So eating right, definitely. We have talked about how to pair your meals and all that. You need to learn what to pair in your meals. What should your meal contain? So diet is a very key thing to your metabolism. I've talked about movement. Number 3 is also taking care of the environment. We are living in times where there is a lot of pollution and all that, but some of the things are inevitable, but there are things that you can do. You make sure that even your cookware, because squeeze, even your metabolism can be linked to your poor metabolism can be linked to your cookware. Are you cooking with things that are leaking into your food and affecting your health? So you need to get the right cookware, and that means you are eliminating a lot of toxins from getting into your system. using a lot of plastics, or not just using plastics. Plastics can be okay if they are BPA free, but you don't want to heat them. You don't want to put hot water. You don't want to heat them in the microwave and all that. You need to use the right products for the microwave, for your water, so that you can eliminate a lot of these toxins that we get. And even so, we also need to like boost our liver into helping it to like detoxify. Unaona? So you need to like always hydrate, take clean water. There are things that you can do to support your liver, and it's not just hydrating peke yake. There is a term known as detoxification, and I know there is a lot of things that are being sold for detoxification, the teas. Well and good if you look into the ingredients. For me, I go for ingredients that are well researched for. Like there's this tea called dandelion tea or castor oil. Those are some of the two ingredients that you can incorporate to like help your body to like take off toxins. And when you take off toxins, unakutanga definitely there's a change. There's a change in your energy levels. There's a change in even your skin, the health of your hair. It means that maybe there was a lot of overburdening of your liver with toxins. And what happens with too much toxins in our liver? They like get recirculated, yani zinakuwa tu recirculated into our system, and sasa unakuta sasa you are having issues with your metabolism, you're having issues with your hormones more so, especially people with ladies with these conditions of PCOS. You really need to support your liver. You really need to be detoxifying in the right way so that you can see significant changes. I've talked about diet. So the bad diets, you need to take them off. Too much sugar definitely has been linked to poor metabolism. Too much, these foods that are ultra processed, sodas, even sweet yogurts. Some people just think yogurt is healthy, but if you look at how they have been processed, it's too much. Unambo, it is yogurt, but loaded with a lot of sugar. That is not going to boost your metabolism. It is going to work the other way around. But there are healthier options. There are healthier yogurts, like the like mala. You can do mala, plain one without sugar. You can do yogurt without sugar, the plain one. You can do Greek yogurt. Those are like kind of some of the wholesome yogurts that you can take and ditch hizo zingine zenye zinakuanga na the flavors. Flavor is artificial, and then plus sugar. Definitely, hata kama ni yogurt, that one is bad. Then we go to the aspect of now the fats. Most of the fat that we are eating, hii mafuta tunapika now, definitely is the culprit. A lot of the time, it's the culprit. It is pro-inflammatory, and metabolism and inflammation, they also go hand in hand. There are things that you can take into our body that causes inflammation, and it will worsen our metabolism, our hormones, and all that. So we need to look at what oils are you using. I always advocate for reduce that inaitangwa aje hiyo mafuta, palm oil. Reduce it as much as possible. Now start using other better fats that our body can be able to, the stable fats. Kitambo, they were demonized, but after thorough research has shown that those stable fats are very good for our body. That is saturated fats. They are good. You can get them from ghee, you can get them from coconut oil. All those are saturated fats. They do not get rancid easily. They are not easily damaged. That's what I can say. So if they are not easily damaged in our body, inamaanisha you will not have a lot of free radicals. If you don't have a lot of free radicals, you will not have a lot of toxins. So they are good. So those are the things that you're supposed to look into, because you can walk every day, you can go to the gym every day, but if you're not looking at some of the things that could be the culprit, inamaanisha you are jeopardizing your whole journey to becoming metabolically fit. So look into the oil that you're cooking with. I know, like wazungu, they're usually very enlightened. Nakutanga those people, they are cooking with olive oil most of the time. If they don't cook with olive oil, unakuta wanatumia coconut oil, wanatumia ghee. They rarely use this oil that Africans we are using. If you do your research very well, Mumina, utakuta they are not using this. They're enlightened, and it helps with boosting our health. And of course, as a woman, there are those, if you cannot get it in the food, definitely you can now supplement. There are vitamins that are very key for a woman, especially as we progress with age. You need to look at your vitamin A intake, your vitamin C intake, your vitamin B12 intake. What else? What else? What else? And magnesium and vitamin D. Those are some of
Vitamin D,
the
yeah.
those are some of the vitamins that you could supplement, and they will work well for your metabolism. They will work well for women health. But you don't just supplement haphazardly. Make sure that you are getting the sources of these vitamins in your diet as much as possible. Vitamin C, we get it from citrus fruits. A well intake of those ones will boost our vitamin C. But then there's no harm in supplementing with vitamin C. Is good for your immunity, is good for your metabolism, is good for your skin and collagen production, all that. Then there's vitamin B12. Most people, they do not have that intrinsic factor to metabolize vitamin B12, especially as we age. B12 is very good for metabolism. Any B vitamins. If you are having issues with I've said, like, if you have issues with you're always fatigued, you have issues with sleep, you have issues with stress levels, sometimes supplementing with vitamin B12 especially can really reverse these issues. That is after you have done all those things we have talked about. Then when you take this vitamin B12, is very good for boosting women metabolism. Even women that have those conditions, PCOS, endo, diabetes and all that, supplementing with these B vitamins are very good for your metabolism, for nervous health. They support the health of your nerves. So if you're always feeling numbness, tinglish, you can do supplement with vitamin B12. Vitamin D tunaijua is good for your immunity, is good for bone health and all that, which is very important for women health. What else? Vitamin A is good for cell regeneration. Unakuta siku hizi women are applying it on the face, like retinol creams and all that. And the reason why they work is because they are able to help with cell regeneration. So inatoa your old skin, that is dead skin cells, and replacing them with new skin cells. Unakuta those products are sold as anti-aging. You can also do the same when you have intake of vitamin A rich foods or vitamin A supplements. Vitamin A rich foods, they will come from those colored fruits and vegetables like carrots, zinaitwa nini, eggplants, what else?
Nyanya,
Nyanya,
mango,
all those. Yes, all those ones are good sources of vitamin A. And then magnesium
potatoes, yeah.
is also at the center of boosting women metabolism. It is very good nowadays, not only for sleep, because also we have said poor sleep issues is linked to our metabolism. So if you have issues with your sleep and all that, you need to get a boost of magnesium. It's very good for boosting your energy levels and also ensuring that we get right sleep. Sijui kama nimesema everything.
I think you've touched on everything, because you've touched on sleep, you've touched on stress. Have you talked on stress management? The
Yeah, I've
need
not
for
talked of it, but
regulating
it's
blood
very
sugar.
important. Yeah, you will balance blood sugar when you eat right.
Yeah.
When you eat right, when you eat the right combination, when you are taking movements. If you have issues with insulin sensitivity, you need to look at what you are eating, and also make sure that you get movements after eating. Unaona, if you have issues with blood sugar spiking and going down of your ovule, make sure that when you eat, una make sure that you like get movements in between there. Your movement itasaidia that food to be metabolized faster. So blood sugar and eating right there, they're almost the same thing, because when you eat well, your blood sugar levels will be okay. And when your blood sugar levels are okay, you are going to have good levels of insulin. When your insulin is working well, you will have steady blood sugar levels, you'll have good levels of energy, your liver will be okay, your other hormones like estrogen there. We said like Kitambo how PCOS is interlinked to blood sugar regulation. So when your blood sugar is okay, definitely your estrogen levels, progesterone levels will be produced in the right amount, and you will not have those issues. And of course, now stress management, you really need to be intentional about it, because your metabolism does not just fail in one day. It is it piles up with time, and then you can find now you're having issues with your metabolism after many years, even of not doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. That was good. I hope if someone is really struggling with metabolic issues, metabolic pathways, you're struggling with energy crashes, fatigue,
Mhm.
mood swings, like
Cortisol.
constipation, you have gotten
Yeah.
something that will actually help, even fertility and infertility. And by the way, there's a post I saw on Facebook.
Mm.
Now that you have talked about insulin and PCOS, and I think this is related to the fact that after 35, women are more intentional about their health. But I will just tell you so that you can give me your views. So this post was
Mm.
like, the poster, of course, most of them post anonymously. There's that group. I think I will invite you in that group so that you see. But I'm not an admin, but I think I can invite someone. No? So I will try
Mm-hmm.
and invite you. So this poster said, um, is it possible, or is it me, or is it that when women get to 35, women living with PCOS have better chances of conceiving? And in the comment section, like watu walikuwa nasema, I'm 36, I conceived when I got 35, I'm 37, 38, 39. But of course, if you check on the profiles, it's more of the Western world or the white race. So I don't know if there's a
Mm.
link or that there's something that you have come across along that. Me actually, when I read all those comments and when I read that post, I was like, it's because women after 30 are more intentional about their health. Women after 30 will drink less alcohol, and I used myself as a case example. We will be more intentional about our physical movement because you want to maintain muscle. If you know exactly like what you need to do, if you want to make sure that you're maintaining your skin as youthful as it can, you want to maintain your joints, your bones, and all that. So I think the fact that, I don't know, that was my thought process, that this is just because that after now 30, you're more intentional, you're trying to even manage stress better than when you're less than 30. Maybe you can give
Yeah.
me your inputs on that. Then
Yeah, I tend to agree, because Kitambo, you are like, your biological clock will be like going down when you get 35 and beyond. But nowadays, we are seeing positive things coming up even after 40. Yeah. Actually, I saw a BBC documentary of women getting children after 40. It is
46 and
happening.
above.
Yes, yes, it is happening. And it just shows that our body does not shut down when you reach 35. When you actually do the right thing, when you're actually very intentional about improving your health, it can work, and how women reproduce so effortlessly, wakiwa huko below 30, it is because their body is optimum with nutrients, energy, and all that. So even if you are at 40 and you do those things to like boost your metabolism, your health, and all that, your body will actually respond. It does not just shut down like that. So it means that like with proper intervention, and it is all linked to our lifestyle. So if you do lifestyle tweaks here and there, definitely it doesn't reduce your chances of conceiving and all that, because conception happens when we are at the peak of nutrition wise, energy wise. Most of the time, like unaambiangwa like fanya ka detox, eat green vegetables, eat well, and you'll find that you are conceiving. Take off those family planning, and you'll find that you are conceiving. So in a manner, like when you are at a positive state of health, that's when conception can happen. So it can actually happen even when you are in your 40s or in your late 30s. So lifestyle has a big impact on how health we are. It is not guided by age. Yeah. So yeah, I think the same like you are thinking, like.
Yeah, I'll
So,
definitely send you that post and I will add you kwa sababu the comment yo mpaka mwingine alikuwa anasema she's 42, she conceived at
eh,
after 7 where
yeah, even big celebs, yeah, they are conceiving at that
yeah
age. So it's not lost because we are 40s. You can do
yes
something, and
and
it
you know in that
happens naturally. And it is naturally, by the way, for those women. See, zile
yeah
za IVF ama nini, they have conceived naturally, which means it's because they have like changed their lifestyle or something like that.
yeah and they were basically living with PCOS. I was like, I need to look into this, but I'll definitely look into it because I have that screenshot. I'll share with you and I'll definitely
Mm.
look into it. So I think that was enough for the introduction of metabolism. As we said, metabolism is so wide. We cannot just tackle it in a day. And I hope that we have gotten the fact that when you think about metabolism, you're not just thinking about weight gain and weight loss. You know, for
Mm.
majority of women, when they think
Mm.
about metabolism, wanataka tu ku lose weight ama ku gain weight.
Yeah.
They tell you, oh,
And
I
those
want
are the
to.
products that we are being sold. Remember, you want to boost your metabolism,
Mm.
take this tea. And
Yeah,
it's being sold. I know of teas that are sold 5,000 and above, that they will
mm,
boost your metabolism. But now you have learned that it's a whole package.
yeah.
Oh, mm,
So for you to maintain your metabolism, you have to make sure your hormones are working well, you're physically active, your gut,
mm.
your
Your
digestion
gut
is
is
working
okay.
well,
Yeah.
your sleep patterns, your stress levels, your endocrine system, your liver,
Mm,
your detoxification. You're going to the toilet, unaenda unapupu asubuhi, unapupu, at least go to the toilet once. Recycle these toxins and hormones and that.
yeah.
And that is
Mm,
all this actually influence metabolism. So I think we'll get deeper into this topic because it's quite wide, and we know as women that it actually affects a lot when it comes to how we respond to life. As I've told you, in that group, they were saying that 35 years and above, they are conceiving better than they were when they're younger. That's the power of lifestyle changes. But then that's the only thing I took from that, because if I take myself as a case study, before I was 30, I think maybe I was taking water, but you see, maybe I was taking other toxins, unnecessary toxins, maybe too frequent, you
alcohol.
know. So they were maybe canceling that.
Mm,
Maybe I was working, but again, I was also taking highly processed foods more because I did not have a kid, I did not have a family, so I was like just for myself. So chipo and kuku was the order of the day. So I think when you get to a certain stage in your life, like stability mentally, physically, emotionally, then you start taking care of yourself. You also improve your chances of improving your metabolic health. So maybe Grace, you can tell us something before we finish up. We are 2 minutes away.
yeah. So I think we have gotten one or two things, and it's my wish that we can be able to help women out there to lead intentional lives.
Mhm.
uh, Nowadays we are preaching like women need to love themselves, and loving yourself is not just taking yourself to that restaurant and eating whatever they are giving. You need to be very intentional on how you're going to ways of loving yourself. If it is going to love yourself and you're going to like do a spa or a day off, a time to just reset your mindset, then go for it. Sometimes we just need to pause from life bustles and hustle, and think about ourselves, think about our health. As much as you're a woman, you're a mother, we need to take care of our health first, so that
Yeah.
when we are okay, we are able to like extend it to our children and to our family members, because we have a very focal people in the society, in the household. So when we are well enlightened, you'll be able to like prepare meals that are healthy. You'll be able to pole pole una teach that child to eat what is healthy and not just eat what other their peers are taking. So that's why it's very important that women understand that they are at such an important place in not only their own health, but also influencing other people in their household, how healthy they become. So I think this is a good discussion, and it's very good that women get empowered, and not just for themselves, but also for the entire household, the entire society in general. So that is it from me.
Yeah, and I agree, Kabisa. And as we celebrate International Women's Day, that is all
Mm.
about empowerment, let's remember the first line of empowerment is through protecting your body, through protecting your metabolism, because as we have understood, if we have followed through, metabolism is not just about weight loss and weight gain, it's about how you're breathing, it's about how you are energized to work, it's about how you're productive at work, it's about how your brain is able to think and be like the brain fog, fatigue, and all that. So let's be empowered. Let's preach. Let's talk about the importance of understanding how our body works, the importance of proper nutrition, the importance of making sure that our hormones are well taken care of, our fertility is well taken care of, and all will be well. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Remember, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. We'll definitely be getting back there to actually make sure that we check them out. And remember to subscribe and like the video and share with a mother, share with a lady, share with a friend, share with someone struggling with PCOS, because we have highlighted some of the things that they can do in this discussion. And I think it will be very helpful. And that is how you help someone else so that they can gain better health and nutrition. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to stay around until the next session. I don't know, we're going to have another discussion. I've written several topics down, like how
Mm.
metabolism affects or influences libido and sexual desire, insulin resistance, and PCOS. That one for the women above 35 years living with PCOS, better family, fertility chances, and what happens to your metabolism while you're pregnant, because that I have gotten a lot of inquiries. That is basically the metabolic changes in pregnancy, nutrition, and diet focus. So asante sana, Grace, for coming in, sharing your insights, and I hope that we
Yeah.
can continue to have these conversations. And you also need to start being active in your channel, Grace. You need to be serious.
Yeah. Okay. Very soon.
You have a lot to share, and it's good to share,
Yeah.
and women
Yeah.
are struggling out there when it comes to, but then she's an expert. She's very good with hormones, she's very good with metabolism, she's very good with women health. You guys, if you're looking for a dietitian that you'll not be throwing your money away, she'll even
Yes.
prescribe you the relevant detox teas and such. And I think
Yeah.
when you're buying those products that you buy, you have to be a bit reserved about the things that you're putting into your body, because sometimes you can be doing more harm, and you should always think about a product that comes in to support your system. She swears by Dandelion, I swear by Dandelion, Wheatgrass, and others. But
Oh, yeah.
because I have
Grass.
seen them,
Good one.
I've actually seen how they work. I've actually
Mhm.
used them myself. I have used them on my mother. I have used them on my clients, and but again, I don't give you teas and tell you they will work magic. We work with a dietary plan. That means we're going to talk about your food, we're going to talk about your habits, we're going to talk about intakes and other supplements that are needed. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, for tuning in.
Yeah.
Remember to stay subscribed, and we will see you next
Next
time.
week. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.